Welcome back, besties. We have a very special book review for this video. By the way, I am wearing the shirt that says "Saving the World is a Woman's Job," and then we have Supergirl, Wonder Woman, and Batgirl there, so we love this shirt. So in this book review, if you've already read the title, then you know that what we're going to be discussing here. We're going to be discussing The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, this book has been everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It's kind of disturbing how much this book is being advertised and being put out there. I'm seeing it on Goodreads. I'm seeing it on YouTube. I'm seeing it on Instagram. I'm seeing it on Book Talk. This book is being seriously hyped up, and I want to find out why. So this is a new adult fantasy book, and in this book we're set in this world where there's dragons, and they send people that are pretty young, I think in their 20s, to this war college to get trained to ride these dragons and then go to war to defend their country. There are 4 quadrants, so there's the riders, there's the scribes, there's the healers, and then there's the infantry squad, I think it is. And so we have our main character, who is Violet, we're told that she is very weak. When she was born, she has this medical condition where her bones break very easily, but her mom is this very well-renowned general in this world, and all of her kids end up being dragon riders that defend their country. And so she, being very weak and stuff, she was kind of trained up to be a scribe, but when it comes time for her to decide where she's gonna go, her mom's like, you don't really have a choice, you are going to be a dragon rider. So that's kind of the setup of the book. Now, I will say that I have already read this book, and we're going to go through my review of this book. We start off, as I mentioned before, with pretty much the beginning of this book. We have our main character, Violet, and her mom, and then Violet's sister, Mira, and they're coming together. And Mira's basically how can you expect Violet to go and be a dragon rider? She's going to die. This the other thing with this book is apparently when you're a dragon rider, a lot of people just die. They just don't make it because of how intense the training in this war college is. And so her mom is like, well, we don't really have a choice because this is our family legacy. We're all dragon riders. And we're also told that Violet has a brother, I think it's an older brother, Brennan, who died in the war. And Mira's like, well, you see what happened to Brennan, you want to lose another kid? And the mom, I will say that she's kind of heartless, because she's either going to become a dragon rider or she is going to be dead to me. When I started reading this book and I realized that our main character was named Violet, she goes by Violet or Vi, I was like, girl, you have some big shoes to fill, if you know what I mean. And so we have Mira giving Vi some advice on how to survive the war college, because I mentioned before, apparently a lot of people die at this war college. The first thing they have to do is they have to make it across this parapet, and I literally had to Google what that was because I don't know what it is. I'm gonna put a picture here to show you what a parapet is. So they have to get across this parapet, and apparently it's very dangerous, and that people die. I just feel the other thing that's being told about this world is there's not a lot of people living in the land with all the dragons. So I'm very confused as why they would make it so difficult for them if we don't have a lot of people that are willing to ride these dragons. It just feels it's everyone's dying, but for what? For why? And so we have Violet, who's able to make it across the parapet, but she meets a couple of pretty important characters there. So she ends up meeting Rhiannon, and honestly, every single time that the name came up, I thought of Rihanna. And then she meets Jack, Jack is kind of an asshole for no reason. We're not being given any kind of reasoning as to why. He's always Violet, you're the weakest, I'm gonna kill you, you're the weakest link, we gotta take her out. We're giving no other reason other than he's a dick. And then we're also introduced to Xaden Ryerson, and so Xaden is our main male interest here, and he is actually the son of rebeller of the rebels or whatever, and his father was leading the rebellion, and so Vi's mother is the one that killed Xaden's father, And so the entire time it's like introduced that like Xaden and Violet aren't supposed to like each other because of like the history that their parents had, and how like I think the other thing was that like that Xaden's father killed Violet's brother, Brennan. I don't know. I don't remember. Something happened there with like the brother and the mom, and they're just supposed to hate each other. And then we're also introduced to Dane Atos, who is Violet's best friend as a child, but he's like a year above her. And so, like I've mentioned, like Violet makes it across the parapet. Some people die, what have you, and then we enter the war college where, like, it's kind of like once you get into the war college, you're like being trained, like physically trained to like for hand-to-hand combat, and like you're learning a lot about like the dragons, because at some point you're supposed to like bond with a dragon. It kind of feels like this author read Divergent and like saw the movie Dinotopia and decided to just like put those two together. If you can't tell at this point, like I did not like this book at all, but we're gonna get into way ahead of ourselves. And so she makes it across the parapet, and they start like hand-to-hand combat training, and the entire time like Violet is pretty much losing because she's kind of like a weakling. I actually think that Violet is kind of a loser, and she kind of deserved what she got in this book. And then we have Dane, who is just a major asshole, because the entire time, every phase in this book, he's like, Violet, we gotta get you the scribes, because Violet was trained by her father to be a scribe because of just like her medical condition. And he's like, Violet, we gotta sneak you off to the scribes. I talked to them. They're gonna take you. Like, you're not gonna make it here. You're gonna die, and I don't want you to die because you're my best friend. And so Violet, the entire time, she's just like, but I made it this far. I made it across the parapet. I'm surviving the hand-to-hand combat training. Like, I'm gonna be able to ride a dragon. And the other thing about this book is just like Violet, because we're reading in her perspective. Like, she's very immature. Like, and the girl is thirsty as because her internal like dialogue is like, she'd be like, oh my god, this person's gonna kill me, but he's also really hot, I need to get laid. And it's just like her entire dialogue is just so annoying. And the other thing that Rebecca Yarros does in this book is that when she wants to make a point across, she'll do this thing in her writing where she's like, oh, this hand-to-hand combat was so difficult. What the fuck? Like, she does this thing, it's kind of like one of my biggest pet peeves, where like she would try to emphasize something by saying holy shit, but she would say like holy period shit period oh period my period god, and have it like italicized and in like all caps, and it's just so annoying. The other thing that Rebecca Yarros does in this book is that whenever there's like a moment where a character is like being really like affected or like experiencing an emotion, it should write like, I had to let out the breath that I didn't realize that I was holding. I had to suck in a deep breath. Oh, my breath catches. Like, that is like another one of my biggest like writing pet peeves. It's like let your people breathe in their book. Like, there's another way to emphasize that a character is going through an emotion other than like, oh, I must take a deep breath. I must let go of this breath that I didn't know that I was holding. It's so annoying. Rebecca Yarros really wanted this to be new adult and wanted this to be a high fantasy book, but it reads like young adult. And the only reason I feel like this book got billed as new adult is because like there's swearing in this book, and there is like she describes characters having sex like in very explicit details, which is why I feel like this book got billed as new adult and not young adult. But the writing is giving young adult, and you know, it's okay if you like young adult, but it's just not, I'm not in that season of my life anymore. It's just not for me. So Violet is only surviving all these hand-to-hand combat training because she's actually poisoning her like opponents and like weakening them, so by the time she gets to like fighting them, they're already like, ooh, I don't feel well, I feel sick. And then after they're like, oh my god, you've made it through hand-to-hand combat and you didn't die, then they go through what I think is called the threshing. So like you go into like this field, like all the dragons kind of like fly out to this field, and then you're put out into this field, and the dragon is supposed to like pick you. So let's go back to that Jack character who's basically an asshole for no reason, where he's like, I'm gonna bond with the dragon. I'm going to get the biggest and baddest dragon out there. And so we get out into the field, and then everyone sees like there's this really tiny, small golden dragon, and Jack kind of perceives it as like the weakling, kind of like he perceives Vi as the weakling. So he's like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna kill that dragon. So they're all out in this field trying to like see if a dragon is gonna like pick them, and then Jack, being the asshole he's like, I'm gonna go kill this dragon. And Violet overhears it, and she's like, oh no, we don't want to kill that like one really cute dragon. So she goes out there and she like tries to protect the dragon, and so she like, her and Jack kind of like get into it. There's also other couple people there, but they're less important. She like get into it, and then Jack ends up running away because Violet is like trying to protect the little young dragon. This other really big dragon comes along, and he's like kind of scares Jack off, and then Violet is like, oh my god, this really big dragon, he saved us. And then she could hear like the dragon talk in her head, because like once you're bonded with the dragon like speaks to you like in your head. And then she's like, oh my god, I just bonded with this dragon. And then once everyone's like, not everyone gets to bond with a dragon, by the way. Like, the dragon picks you, so the people who don't get bonded with a dragon are just like, they have to repeat the first year of the college all over again. So when she goes to the like dragon professor that's like, okay, I bonded with the dragon, here's the dragon's name, it actually, like, at this point she realizes that she's like bonded with the like little gold dragon. So she's a special child that ends up getting bonded to two dragons. She's the chosen one that ends up getting bonded to two dragons. Like, not only is she the like general's daughter, she ends up getting bonded to like two dragons. And one of the dragons that she bonds with, his name is Tarn, and he is the biggest, baddest dragon around town. And it's like, oh my god, Violet bonded with like the biggest, most impressive dragon. She's a special child. And then she has the other like little dragon, the golden one, who's Adarna, I think is the name is, and that one's kind of like small, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's never been done in the history of forever, like one person bonding with two dragons, like everyone's gonna hate you, everyone's gonna try to kill you because this has never happened before, you took away someone's opportunity to bond with a dragon, blah blah blah. And so then we find out that Violet's dragon Tarn is actually a mate of Xaden Ryerson's dragon Sigale. So when dragons mate or find a mate, they like mate for life. They're like, it's like true love. Like, there's nothing stronger with a bond than a dragon's mating bond. And so now Xaden and Violet are like, okay, well, I guess like our dragons are connected. Like, you know, we're forced to be connected for life now, because like you can't destroy a dragon mating bond. And there's this other thing I forgot to mention, is that, remember when I was talking about the rebellion? So the adults who rebelled, like, they were all killed, and then their kids, the place were like, so what do we do with the kids? Like, should we like exile them? Should we kill them too? And so the leadership group of this like world is like, nah, let's not kill them, man. Let's force them to all be dragon riders, because when they're all dragon riders, like, most of them die. So all these kids are probably gonna just die out because their parents are all horrible people. So we just expect them to die. Like, let's have the training program kill them instead of us like doing it ourselves. Like, that's so stupid, because if one of these rebellion kids ends up bonding with the dragon, it's like you just made them far more powerful than you like intended them to be. Like, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. And so, like I mentioned, Xaden is one of those rebellion kids, and so when you're like a child, a rebeller, you get branded. Like, you actually physically get branded. You have like this this mark on your body, like somewhere on your body, that brands you as like a traitor, which I think is the dumbest fucking thing ever. I think it's like, when you bond with a dragon, the dragon like marks you, and it's like you're getting, the dragon is giving you a tattoo. Like, which I also think is the dumbest fucking thing ever, because it signals like, this is your bond, your magical bond with this dragon. It's very much the way that they have like these tattoos that like either give them power or mark them as a traitor. It's very much giving, what is that book by Cassandra Clare that's so fucking awful? It's not The Moral Instruments, is it? Maybe it is, I don't know, but it's because in that book they like they put like all these markings and like tattoos on themselves that's like supposed to give them power and stuff, and I really think that like that is like one of the dumbest plot devices ever. And I tried reading Cassie Clare's book, and honestly, it was bad. It was really bad. But that's neither here nor there. That's not related to this book review. And so from there, once you're bonded with a dragon, you have to go through like flight training so that you can like stay on the dragon and like fly with the dragon. And everyone at the college that wasn't able to bond with the dragon, like I said, have to repeat the first year all over again. And this other thing is that once you bond with your dragon, the bond isn't like strong, it's like weak at that point, and you have to work on your relationship with each other. So if a kid that didn't bond with the dragon decided like, I like your dragon, so I'm just gonna kill you and try to bond with that dragon instead, that's pretty much what happens to Violet. Like, she was like in her sleep, and she a bunch of people tried to like kill her, like come after her in her sleep in her bedroom and kill her, but Xaden was just there at the right time, and he like took them all out. The other thing with the teeny tiny like dragon that Violet bonded with is that we realized that it's a baby dragon, and like we've never had in the history of ever a person that bonded with a baby dragon, because we don't really know a lot about baby dragons. And so as a baby dragon, she's able to like give some of her dragon powers over to Violet, but she doesn't want people to know that because for some reason, I don't remember. And because like dragons, once you're bonded, they give you like their signet power, they give you like small magic and their signature. I feel like the magic in this book was just like so poorly done, because number one, the dragons can talk to you in your head, and then we're reading from Violet's perspective where she's just so immature. Like literally it would be like somebody would die, and then Violet would be like, oh my god, it's so crazy, somebody just died. And then she looks over to Xaden and she's like, oh my god, he's so fucking hot, I gotta get laid, man. Just reading from Violet's perspective was just so annoying. I honestly, like, let me read from anybody else's perspective. And then we have Dane, who this entire time, like I mentioned before, just like, you're not gonna make it, you're gonna die, you're not gonna make it. Dane has his signet power is that he can, like, if he touches your face, he's able to see your like past memories. And Dane really truly is an asshole, and let me tell you why. There is, after Violet gets attacked in her bedroom, she sees the person who was like in her bedroom organizing the attack, and the person that organized the attack is what they call like a wing leader. So we have like this level of authority. We have like the cadets who are like being trained, we have the squad leader, then we have the wing leader, kind of like a military style type thing. So the wing leader is pretty high up there, and to accuse a wing leader of doing something bad is like, but Violet's like, no, the wing leader is actually in my bedroom trying to kill me. Xaden is like trying to stick up for Violet, being like, yeah, the wing leader was there. And Dana's like, I don't believe you. He's like, let me touch your face and get your memories to see if that's true. And then Violet's like, no, you didn't ask for consent to touch my face. So Xaden's kind of an asshole in this book, and we don't stand him. But also the other thing that we learn is because, no, sorry, not Xaden. So Dane is the asshole in this book. So, but like the other thing that we learn is because Xaden and Violet's dragons are mated, that means that they can feel like all the feelings that their dragons are feeling when they're, you know, like going at it. And then there's one point in the book where Violet's like, oh my god, I'm having all these feelings for Xaden, oh my god. And they like actually do something. The thing about this book is like when Rebecca Yarros decides to write a sex scene, she does not write it lightly. Like she will spend an entire chapter going through the intricate details of what they're doing, and I just, at points I was like, I just want it to end. I just wanted like all the sex scenes to end, because honestly I was not feeling anything for these characters. Violet would just get horny at like the most inconvenient points. Like she'd be in like hand-to-hand combat and she's like, oh my god, something's tingling in my body. And it was just so immature the way that she was thinking, but like she's billed as a special one. So let me not go through the rest of like what's happening in the book, because you already can tell that I don't like this book. The writing was so fucking awful. Violet's inner monologue, so awful. So just to give you the end of it, like a bunch of people die. We realize that the war, or like Violet's mom is like hiding a secret. Like the outside world isn't so bad, or well it is bad, but like you can tell like the generals are hiding like the true nature of like why they aren't allowed to like leave their area. And I don't know, I just think that this book was just like really poorly written, and the world building was really poorly done. And I do not think that I will be picking up the rest of this book. I don't understand the hype. I really don't. And I really wanted to like this book because I haven't read a fantasy book in a while, and I really wanted like some kind of fantasy to like really like, and like a fantasy series that I could really like and like want to root for the characters. But honestly, I did not root for a single character in this book. I wasn't feeling anything that they were feeling. I just kind of wanted this book to be over. The other thing is that like the audiobook for this is so bad. The narration, whoever they hired for the narration of this, like, you should have hired somebody else, because the way that like she would just narrate was just like, it was grating on the ears. And I tried to physically read this book as well, but it was just taking me so long and I wanted to be done with this. I was really tempted to DNF, but I was like, I'm already all the way through this and I want to see what the hype is. So I didn't DNF, and I kind of really wish I would have, because then I would be sitting here with all this hate and vitriol for this book. To wrap it up, this book was not for me. I think the premise sounded pretty promising and pretty good, but the way that it was written, it's YA. That's what it is. It's truly a YA. And if you are in your YA area, maybe just like give this a chance. But I am not, and it's just it was just not for me. Getting 1 star from me, I don't understand the hype. I really truly don't. And the way that this book on Goodreads has like, I think I want to say like 4.70 stars on Goodreads. That's astronomically high for a book that was just released. Like, this book was released and I fully expected the rating to go down, but it really hasn't. What is everybody liking? I don't get it. And so I'm just gonna leave this at that. This book is bad. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it if you are in your YA era. Like, maybe you'll like it, but I just didn't. And I don't think that I will be reading anything else from Rebecca Yarros. I know that the sequel for this book comes out in like November, which is crazy soon. Violet was kind of a loser. Dane was kind of a loser. The mom sucked. Xaden is just like he's described as any other male fantasy character that's out there. Even at the end of this book, when it switches over to Xaden's perspective, I was still like, what the fuck? Like, I just don't like it. So if you made it to the end of this video, you made it through all my ranting about this book, and I'm ranting for obviously bad reasons. If you want to read this book, go ahead, give it a try, see if you agree with my review. But like I mentioned before, I will not be picking up the second book of this, and it's getting a 1-star review. So if you made it to the end of this video, please leave the dragon emoji so that I know that you made it to the end of this video in the comment section, and stay tuned for my next week's video. Thank you. Goodbye.